Welcome to Below the Surface, the podcast where we go beyond the small talk and dive deep into the conversations that matter.
From personal growth to the complexities of human behaviour, we explore the stories, ideas and experiences that shape our world without the fluff.
Expect raw, thought-provoking discussions with fascinating guests and plenty of insights to challenge the way that you think.
So if you're ready to look below the surface, you're in the right place.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Who is Stevey McGeown, aka Stevey J?
I'm a father to three children, and husband to my wife Catherine, and son to my mother and father, brother. Good friend, very good friend. Always made sure he was a very good friend. Do you know what I mean? And the work that we would do would be an extension of that, of friendship, really.
Very
also
good.
a business owner as well too, and also involved in a lot of good charity work. You know what I mean, for good causes. That's do the right type of thing, you know.
So, can you tell us something that might help our listeners get a better understanding of what you do, or maybe why we might have asked you to come here today?
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, I suppose for years I've been helping people to get results, so I have, and I've been able to do that because I have a very good understanding of human beings, and maybe that's why I'm here today. It's beautiful to be in this place here in Cree. Austin and Teresa and Damien would have been plenty of our retreats and things, and now they actually hold their own retreats and things here in this place, which is a continuation of helping a lot of people. I know Paul McCarthy does a lot of good work here as well too, and I know Kieran come to our stuff, and you're obviously doing this because you have a passion for helping people in their lives as well too, you know, so
Yeah.
fair play, like.
Thanks very much. So, in terms of getting results, what type of results? Because I know that's a very broad question.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So, what would be your main area of focus?
I suppose really when I started out, it would have been results. It would have been results like all over field, like, you know, all throughout life. And then later on, it became very much about business results and results with athletes and things like that there. But I never didn't have a time where I didn't always have people with all different results in their life. So like we run business events and we also run retreats for people for their life and stuff like that there too. I've talked more about dreams, you know, dream lofty dreams, and as you dream you shall become. The bird waits in the egg, the oak sleeps in the acorn, and the highest vision awaken the angel stirs. James Allen wrote that back in 1903. And like, you know, we would have lots of things that people would share. Like, you know, people have, in terms of money, like, you know, have done extremely well, like, you know, millions and tens of millions in business and things like that there as well too. And like, we've had people that have had number one in iTunes in the rock charts in the UK and in Ireland. It was actually a song that was written about me from a fella called Marty Rafferty.
Yeah.
I think Marty's doing something this weekend or next weekend and breaking a world record in Armagh too. Breaking world records. I broke a world record myself, and I've helped several other people break world records. I've helped MMA fighters as well too. I've even had people who didn't even have business ideas work with them to come up with business, and then have business valued at 10 million, even out of nowhere. So you've got all these very like official type results, but the best results are a lot of the ones that I can't even talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That they can't even share. Like people's relationships being healed, and you know, living better lives. People that maybe struggled with their health, and some of them couldn't get pregnant and have had babies, things like that. And just everything really, and just making life better. I suppose if you had a purpose and you have a purpose to be in the world. I was driving down here earlier on. I was thinking to myself, I was seeing a lot of old houses, and there was a lot of back roads and things, and I was looking at houses, and I was looking at the walls, the stone walls and things, and you know, a lot of them walls were built during the famine. Like, none of them people are here anymore. They're all gone, and like a lot of people that lived in this country, you know, had a lot of hardship for years and years and years, and like we probably came through the tail end of that hardship in Northern Ireland just at the end of it there. But really to get to the day where it's probably the best time on earth without a lot of people realising it, you know. And if you're only going to spend a certain time on earth, like I say, them people that built them stone walls aren't about anymore, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if you're only going to have a certain amount of time, here is to make our time valuable in a way, you know.
So how, like, we'll just say, for example, there you've said that you understand human behavior.
Yeah, human beings. I understand human beings.
Or human beings. So
yeah. Human nature, I
how
understand
have
it well.
you increased your ability to understand human beings and to be able to help them do that?
Good question. Yeah, I think, you know, people will ask me like a lot of the time. Like I done a lot of training. So I did when I was in my 20s. But prior to that myself, like I would have been lost. I would have been quite lost for a while, you know, myself, and didn't know how to get out of it. Stuck several times, come to the end of the road, and the last time I wasn't really interested in continuing on too much, but I found prayer, and I knelt to the ground and I genuinely asked God to come into my life. I was 22 years of age, and everything changed. So nothing on the outside changed, but everything with me on the inside completely changed.
In what way?
Completely changed. So I had a complete renewing of faith, of joy, and of peace, and had a good outlook on life. and maybe about half an hour, 10 minutes before I knelt and I prayed, I didn't. I actually wanted to leave the world, so I did, and everything for me at that point changed when I was 22. Now, it didn't mean that it stayed changed, if you know what I mean. Like sometimes you have good days and sometimes you have bad days.
Yeah.
But everything changed. I never, even though I'd obviously, you know, 22, I'm 47 now, so I've had a lot of hardships in between that. But it never just ever was as hard or was as tough or was as dire or nothing. Almost no matter what I was doing. You know, later on, probably, I'd have said to people when I run 100 marathons in 100 days, I'd have said to people, like, they'd say, "Wow, it was really hard." And I'd say, like, yeah, I'd say it was probably maybe the 7th hardest thing that I ever done in my life was run 100 marathons in 100 days, because the first, like, 13 days, 2 weeks, was like somebody, like, just kicking the shit out of you, if you know what I mean? Like, and you could feel pain. But, like, you know, the mental clarity was perfect, you know what I mean? The heart was perfect. The spirit felt great. So a little bit of physical pain was not challenged to deal with. But whenever the following year, when I was running the ultramarathons, it was 40 mile a day for 59 days and running 57 miles in the last day, running the whole way around Ireland. Like just one continuous loop, like, you know what I mean? Every step of the way. It actually was the hardest thing that I ever done in my life.
The ultramarathons was the hardest.
It was the hardest thing. And I had been through, I suppose, like torture before, if you know what I mean, mental torture, like, you know, emotional torture, like, you know what I mean, like torture, like. And sometimes you think, physical pain, whatever it is, but this was just so hard. It was so hard.
So hard in your mind.
No.
As well as hard on your body. But where was it hard? How was it hard? Can you describe that?
Good question. So the first year I was running, like, you know, nobody really cared about us at the start, like, because 100 marathon days, them boys not really do that, whatever it is. And then it's continued on. After about 50, it started building a little bit of momentum. And do you mind if I take a wee drink of water?
No, work away.
And then started getting the crowd. So on the last day we had hundreds of people, 500 people running with us on the last day, 100 marathons, 100 days.
Wow.
So that was okay. So then you kind of like were somebody's like, people are expecting things off you then, you know. And I always like to maximise things anyway. So we got all the schools involved in Armagh and stuff. So when we were going out running, they were coming out running with us. And the start of this journey of the whole way around Ireland, 60 ultramarathons in 60 days. I left the cattle grid of my house, and I'd been training in maybe like 12 to 14 degrees weather. And this day was the very first day running 40 miles. It was 26 degrees.
Oh, shit.
Nice.
So I got till around the place, and I got to this place about 27 miles. I've been running this stage of the game, and I stopped for a piss. There's only one way to put it. And 'cause that's what it was.
Yeah. Say it like it is.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and I pissed blood. Now, I've pissed blood before, right? A wee bit. But this time I pissed pure blood. Do you know, like get a punch in the nose,
Yeah.
and there's pure blood. That's what was coming out of me at mile 27. So it really.
This on your first day?
This is my first day. There's hundreds of people that have been outrun with this. There's loads of newspapers involved now. There's people sponsored the thing. We're on the radio. There's TV, Tina G, all these different types of things.
What's the first thought in your mind when you see that?
Don't tell anybody.
So you were like, just
Don't tell anybody that you're pissing blood.
Yeah.
that was the dialogue. Just we need to.
It was like pissing blood, and it was just like, whoa. It was like, well, the first thing in mind is like, I know it's over 18s, fuck, like, you know, fuck,
yeah.
and then like, fuck, right? And then I have to fucking run this whole fucking thing, you know. Now I'm running this, but really it was more like, I don't want to let people down. I'm raising money for charity. Lots of people have put in a lot of effort, and I'm raising money for charity, and I'm pissing blood, right?
On the first day.
Don't tell anybody, and then get me some water. And I was a little bit on the first day too. Is it? I didn't get enough water that should have been, because there's a lot of other people out. So there was, and you know, so it didn't really. And then I ended up pissing blood. But
Did you find out why you were pissing blood?
no, I kept going. So I can tell you this. Whatever I can tell you in version, or I can tell you, I pissed blood for 6 days. So I did, like, so that night.
Every time you pissed, there was blood. Like, no.
So, do you want me? I'll tell you this.
Go for it.
I'll tell you this, because that's a good question. Because I'm asking. Yeah. So, because it wasn't every time. So around the 27 mile, and I pissed blood like a pure nosebleed, just pure red coming out of me, right? Anyway. And I kept running anyhow, kept going, and I got into Newry, and I was coming into Newry. Now, at this stage of the game, I had the ability, and when I ran the 100 miles, 100 days, I won a race up in Donegal, and I ran 3:12, 3:09, 3:06, and 3:03. And I'd still 13 marathons to run after that. I won every day after that there, so I was able to run at that pace. Now, coming into Newry, which was within about the last 10 mile, there was this lady overtook me, and she's probably about 5 stone overweight. And fair play to her to run. She's maybe out to run 10k or 10 miles. She's maybe pushing herself further. And she overtook me, and I couldn't catch her. So I couldn't. But previous to that, could be running a full marathon at 6.5 minute mile pace type of thing, if you know what I mean. And couldn't catch her at all. I don't know, it was wobbly. So it was, and it was still really, really hot, and there was no escape from the sun, you know. So eventually got to just the edge of Warren Point, and I was staying in the hotel there. So the boys had said to me, "What do you want after you run?" And I kind of went, "Should get me a couple of burgers, if you know what I mean, like burgers." And what else, like orange juice, kind of like you asking questions. I like loads of things. So the boys had 2 burgers for me at the end of the 40 mile, and orange juice. So I had a couple of burgers, and I was getting interviewed, like a thing, an interview thing. So I had to go back into Newry, stopped, come down the road in the car, and opened the door, and I've just vomited the whole lot of it out onto the road. When you run a marathon, you'll burn about 4,500 calories. When you run 40 miles, you'll burn about 10,000 calories.
Jeez.
So I got back to the hotel then after that, and I was fit to eat 3 teaspoonfuls of pea soup. So I got the 3 teaspoonfuls of pea soup into me, and I got into the hotel room, and I was just panicky. It just wasn't good. I thought to myself, right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to drink loads of water, and I'm going to flush this out of me, right? So as I was drinking loads of water, so I started drinking the water and drinking the water and drinking the water. So I was drinking loads of water, so I couldn't sleep. I was up pissing like a racehorse all night. So the next morning, the boy says to me, he says, "Well, it's not going to be as hot today." So I said, "All right, happy days." So I got out onto the road, and I was running up that east coast, and there's hardly any trees on the coast. Never been the east coast, virtually no trees. What happened was 26 degrees again. So I was running away, stopped for piss. So this is going to be a piss, unfortunately. Stopped for a piss at mile 4, and it was clear. It was okay. I was like, thank God. Right? So I kept running, stopped again at about mile 7.5. I would load up a lot in the water and start piss blood again. So I was pissing blood again. So I kept going anyway. So pissing blood again, day 3, pissing blood again, day 4, day 5, day 6. Stopped pissing blood on day 7. Stopped puking on day 8. Stopped to try to do shite on day 9 outside Derry, and something about the size of a penny came out of me.
So had you not done a shite all this time?
The first shite done was on the morning 11 After I'd run, more than 11 was getting me ready to run 40 miles. After I'd already ran 400 miles, and I filled the toilet about 5 times.
What the fuck was going on in your body them fucking 11 days?
And it was all emotional. A lot of it was emotional, like an emotional too. And there was all things going on as well too. So there was, you know what I mean. There was all challenges that people, I don't really want to talk about now. But there was all other, like, you know, things that was really upsetting me when I was on the road as well too. Like, so there was, you know.
So was that like a cleanse of all that emotional baggage of just...
When I, you know, where your body could be doing loads of things. Like, so my body wouldn't have been used to sunstroke. Like, by the time I got to Donegal at that stage on that 10th, it was in Buncrana on that 11th morning, like, my body would through so many different things. It wouldn't have been used to not sleeping for that length of time. Wouldn't have been used. Like, there was one stage I was throwing up water. Like, I was vomiting up water.
Yeah.
But you see, my mentality would always be like, you know, like, so this would have came to me like to do this through prayer. You know, you understand that? And like, sometimes people don't understand that, but that's just, I can only tell you the truth. So to me, it was like, I had a promise, you know, that I could do this and that I was to do this. And I'll tell you a wee bit in a minute if you want the details of that. And so he's like, well, sure, God wouldn't do this to me, you know. So my role here is to do everything I can. What I couldn't believe in myself was the previous year I was using my mind to keep myself right on 100 miles, 100 days. But this year my mind was gone, right? But the body could do so much more. Like, the body has an amazing ability. So, and I think that's was the challenge sometimes these days, is people's minds aren't just as strong, so they think that their bodies aren't as strong. But your body's like timber, like, you know what I mean? Like,
But if your mind was gone, how did you make that connection to actually be able to get your body to keep going? Do you know, how did you not give up? Because a lot of people would have been like, fuck this, I'm going to the hospital, like, you know, pack this in.
Well, 90% of the people, if they seen blood, they'd be like, right.
Yeah, like, how did you do that?
well, I suppose, you know, I said to myself, like, if I end up unconscious on the side of the ditch, well, sure, I'll wake up in hospital and then be all right, like, you know what I mean? But if I go, oh, I can't do this anymore, because when I was racing against the horses, I was nearly going to quit. So I was, because everything was done, like, all the money was raised and all the people were there, and some stuff they really need me here, like, you know what I mean? But I thought to myself, like, you know, but imagine you quit and then you're sitting on the couch and you went, fuck's sake, fucking kind of fucking.
But that's the way a lot of people are. You know, you're not a normal person here. Like, that's.
But you know what I mean?
It's hard to get your head around. So
my mind, you see, my mind was like, cause sometimes I thought to myself, well, with the ditch there, and then I went, yeah, and then I said, well, look, if I collapse and I end up laying in the ditch, which sure, there's somebody's going to have to lift me, like, do you know what I mean? Like, and then if they do that, then, well, at least they give everything.
Yes.
It'd be terrible if you did, and they sort of shimmied you into hospital and you were still kind of okay, because then you'd be like going, fuck, I can still move, and then you were able to walk to the toilet. Then you think to yourself, for sure, I could have kept going.
So how would people harness this mindset or this attitude? How could somebody else, like, say now, I would be gone. I'd be gone if I was pissing blood.
Yeah. But I suppose too, you see, is I wasn't just doing it for myself either. So, and that's probably it. And I think that's with most of us, like, as you know, like, look at everything you're doing for other people.
Did you feel pressure much?
You know,
like, did you feel immense pressure that you had all these people looking at you? You had all the money raised. Now you have to go and perform.
It wasn't about it. It was about, like, at the end of the day, like, you know, you only really have so many people in your life anyway, if you know what I mean, like, around you. But it wasn't really the 100 marathons, 100 days. When I was running that, was me. It was like going, you know, if you can run 100 marathons, 100 days, well, you can do anything really, I suppose, in terms of like commitment and consistency and stuff. You know, the way sometimes your consistency and stuff, like, you know, saying, well, if you can do that there, like, and then if you could do that, you'd be fit. Do you know what I mean? But whereas this was like, this came to me after I ran the 100 marathons in 100 days. I was at home, and it was a Sunday, and the Sunday was the only day I didn't run, and it was the last day in September, and the children were going to school on the Monday morning, right? And I woke up on the Monday morning, and I'd slept for like 12 hours, and I was in pain. It was actually the first time that I was in pain, maybe because I didn't run that day.
Yeah.
And then I woke up the next morning and I got really, really anxious. I got really nervous and really anxious. And I don't know whether it was because it was September and, you know, the children are going back to school. And I can remember when I was going to school, I used to be very nervous about going to school, to be honest with you. And our children were never they love going to school.
Yeah.
But I'd been nervous for them, you know. I wasn't sure if it was that, or I wasn't sure if it was because when I ran the 100 Marathon 100 days, I never spoke about the work that I'd done. So a lot of people think that I only picked up doing, say, motivation type work, like after on the marathons. But I was doing this from 2007, you know, for years. And I never spoke about it when I was running the 100 Marathons 100 days because I didn't want to confuse it with a charity message because we were doing the work for children with terminal critical illness. So I didn't speak about the work that I was doing. So a lot of people wouldn't have knew that. So I'd kind of parked that for 3.5 months. Do you know what I mean? And I'd let life take care of things and that. And I was very much looking just to make sure that I was staying with doing the right thing, not trying to pick something for over desire, pick something because I was panicked, or pick something out of fear, whatever it was. But I got really panicked this morning because I was like, what am I going to do? You know, what am I going to do? Like, would I go back doing what I was doing, or what do I do? And so I got really anxious. And then about 10 minutes later, I remembered. I'd forgot. Because sometimes, you see, I would pray and I would say, or I remember that God's with me, say, even on the road, or, but it's pissing blood now, but it's okay, God's with me, I'm going to be all right, it's all right. And I'd forgot that God was with me. So then I remembered. And I went, sure, I don't need to panic at all. And then asked God, says, well, give me direction. And then I didn't get anything for 10 days, but I didn't care. Because as soon as I handed over, I was relaxed. As soon as I handed over to life, I handed over to God, what I would say. As soon as I handed over, I was relaxed. Do you know what I mean? And so I didn't worry. And then 10 days later, I woke up and it just went, keep running. Run the whole way around Ireland. And I went, that's a great idea. And then I went, what are you sure? And I went, whoa. but there was nothing else. Like, I mean,
that's the only thing
there wasn't right. Go back in there to Armagh and start your. There was blank, and then it was like, keep running, run the whole way around Ireland, and then that was it. I was like, thank God, I got something now. So then I was laying in bed and I was thinking to myself over my mind, was going, there's no point in doing a marathon a day because nobody will give me any money for that because I'd already done that, and I'm not doing 100 marathons again. Or just 3.5 months, too long away. Says I'll do 2 months. So then at that stage, Ben, who's my son, he walked into the room. Ben's 18 now, so he'd been probably 9 at that stage of the game. And he walked into the room and I said, Ben, I says, I'm going to run again. I says, He says, next summer. But I said, I'm not going to be away as long. I'm only going to go for 2 months. But I said, I don't know, will I run 40 miles a day or run 50? Because I knew there was no point in running 26. And he says, oh, Daddy, run 40 miles a day. And I thought, thank God. So I decided to run 40 miles a day, but I ended up running 57 miles in the last day.
Jesus.
But that's I done that, and then a few names came to me, and I followed that, and I just followed it, if you understand. And then I started running more miles, and I met an man, Tom Hearn. Tom Hearn's a very interesting man. He's linked to another man from Galway. You should maybe have these two guys on sometime, Tom Hearn and Dr. Patrick McKeown. And Tom Hearn contacted me. I had already ran 100 marathons, 100 days, and so it shows you the calibre of this man. And he contacted me and says to me, I can teach you how to breathe properly. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I go, that's brilliant. So, you know, I didn't think, oh, you know how to breathe. No, I go, that's great. Because I asked for it to be easier. It wasn't easier, obviously, because it was harder, but I wanted it to be easier. But imagine, if I hadn't have got that, he taught me the breathing through the nose. And Dr. Patrick McKeown wrote a book called The Oxygen Advantage.
I've heard of it, yeah.
You've heard of it?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
So Tom Hearn taught me it, and he showed me a dissection of the skull, and I said, yeah, I was run 6.5 minute miles, no problem, like, you know what I mean, for the full thing that time, no bra. And I just seen it. As soon as he showed me it, I understood construction, and as soon as he showed me it, I was like, that makes total sense. Plus, I'd read a bit here and there as well too, but things, and I said, that makes total sense. So I went out for a run, and I ran from my house to Newcastle, which is 42 miles, to practice the new breathing style that I got, which was the nasal breathing. So it was, I already had learned chi running from Katrina McKiernan. You know Katrina McKiernan?
I've heard of Chi running, but I haven't heard of Katrina. No.
Well, Katrina McKiernan would have been like, so Sonia O'Sullivan. Sonia O'Sullivan. Sonia O'Sullivan happened, but Katrina McKiernan was right there with Sonia O'Sullivan back there in them days, and she had won world championships and everything. Like super runner. She still teaches the chi running. So I learned that with her in the 100 marathons. In the second year, I learned the breathing. And so, like when when I get real panicky and anxious and everything and all the rest of stuff, I'd have been breathing through my nose all the time anyway. But then I would listen to the birds, and if I could hear the birds, it would take me out of my thoughts. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So a lot of times human beings will build thoughts on top of each other, and thoughts on top of each other, and thoughts on top of each other, and all of a sudden it's a real bad story, right? So they can't look into their mind. So they then have to distract themselves and have to escape through certain things. But if you can bring yourself back into the moment, and I've always found one of the easiest ways to listen to the birds. Somebody says to me, "Is you can't hear the birds, them fucking people are talking too loud." I says, "Yeah, well then the people are the birds. Can't hear the fucking birds, the traffic, the traffic of the birds." Do you know what I mean? Whatever it is, the birds in the moment. Like I also learned from man, like back then, and Tony Quinn, and like he taught us like to see what you're seeing, hear what you're hearing, and feel what you're feeling. Do you know what I mean? And so, like, so a lot of things that I would do, and many things I say, people say, "What is it you're doing?" I go like, "Well, I really help people to access the energy." And they're like, "What do you mean help to access the energy?" I say, "Well, like, there's energy flowing through you that enough energy can light up New York City for 8 days. I can help you access that energy." And it's like, "But how do you help me access the energy?" And it's really through relaxation. And relaxation is a process of letting go. It's not a process of learning more stuff. It's a process of letting go. And like I found that the life is really a lot like that. Like even in Think Rich by Napoleon Hill, which is this 25. Think about this: a 25-year study of the 500 most successful people in America in the early part of the 1900s. Napoleon Hill was given a letter by Andrew Carnegie, who's the wealthiest man in the world at that time. He spent the first half of his life accumulating money and the second half giving it away. And he gave him a letter. And he went and studied the most successful people for 25 years. Do you know what I mean? And then wrote a book on it. And there's 13 principles on it. But the first chapter is desire. You gotta really want it. You have to want it. Like I say to people sometimes is, "Hi Stevie, I want to start a business. Can I come and see you?" I say, "No problem. Come on. No problem. You can see me. No problem. I'll see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock. "Oh no, I can't. I'm working." Desire's not strong if you don't want it. But the desire is the first step. But if the desire can end up being too strong, that you can miss certain things. But the second step's faith. The second step is faith, even in that book. You know what I mean? And faith is a feeling of certainty, to know that you absolutely know. And then how do you create certainty? Because I used to be dealing with people all the time. People say to me, "If I could just believe in myself, Stevie, if I could just believe in myself." And I used to be trapped in that myself for years too. And there's still people spouting that, "Oh, believe in yourself. It's bullshit. You don't need to believe in yourself. Believe in the process. I don't need to believe in myself. I can look outside there and I can see them lovely flowers. And I go, wow, if God can do that, I can see the sky and I can see the trees and I can see you people. And I know, well, it's debatable whether a man was in the moon there or not, But I do know that you've got a smartphone or a dopey phone, whatever we call it now. We know we've got these phones that have all this information on the planet. So there is amazing things. So if God can do these amazing things through all these people, of course God can do it through you. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it isn't that you have to believe in yourself. That's a bullshit thing. That's a fucking cul-de-sac, a catch-22. It's believe in the process. It's look at the process. And this, well, sure, of course the process is done through you. But the chapter 3, which is how to induce faith. How do you induce faith? How do you get to that place of absolute certainty that you know. It's auto-suggestion. And auto-suggestion is any stimuli coming to the mind, and you can do that yourself. You do the auto-suggestion bit yourself. Do you know what I mean? It's like the morning miracle makeover we have. We have a program, morning routine. First thing you get people to say in the morning is say yes to life. Say yes to the opportunities. And a lot of positive thinkers can say that, but they can't say yes to the challenges. They say yes to the challenges because the challenges make me grow. So can you say yes when you've got a challenge? Do you know what I mean? Can you say yes when you're pissing blood? Can you say yes when you're vomiting? Can you say yes when you didn't sleep? Can you say yes when you didn't shit? Do you know what I mean? Fuck, I'm still here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a bit fucking mad,
going.
like.
So we had a thing, keep her lit, keep her lit.
Keep her lit, yeah.
And every normal, I said, keep her lit, you know. But when I was going around Ireland, I was carrying the Hand of Friendship with this medal, and it was the Hand of Friendship, it was a yellow Hand of Friendship. I'd met Paddy Wallace. Paddy Wallace would be the most Northern Irish rugby player capped. He'd be a puntant. And I think he does a radio show and stuff like that. I haven't seen anything from him. But anyway, I met him anyway. And we were somewhere. And John Boyle had sponsored me, Boyle Sports. And we were with his gay too. And next thing Paddy goes, I could get a DUP politician to to get behind this. And he goes, that's great, Paddy, that's a brilliant idea. But I had a flashing image years ago. And I said, Paddy, could you get Martin McGuinness, who's Sinn Féin? I said, could you get Martin McGuinness and get Arlene Foster? So the two of these were in charge of the country at the time, you know. I said, could you get them? And I says, and we'll get a bench, we'll get a white bench, because they had these buddy benches, we'll get it painted white, and we'll have Arlene Foster, we'll have her in the bench, and I'll stand behind her, and I said, we'll have Martin McGuinness sitting beside her, and we'll have you behind them. We'll get a subliminal swap of communities and, you know, traditions and things like that there. And Paddy goes, right, he said, I'll get that. And fair play to him, he got it done. So we went up to Stormont. And Arlene wouldn't sit in the bench anyway, which obviously couldn't at that time, whatever it was, but everybody stood around the bench and done their thing anyway. And the bench was yellow. So sometimes I'd be a bit, I can even mind, but it was grand, so everything went well, went good. Then he's come down the road to himself, why is the bench yellow? It was meant to be white, because white was a simple piece, meant to be white. Then as I was driving into my backyard, just as I drove in, this hand just flashed into my mind, right? And it went yellow, why is the bench yellow? And it went yellow. I went, yellow rose. Yellow rose you give for friendship. Yellow is the colour of friendship, right? So friendship, the colour of friendship. Next thing, this yellow hand flashed into my mind. Whereas we had the previous was the red hand of Ulster. The red hand of Ulster is a war hand. Do you know what I mean? And so it was like friendship's a step beyond peace. So I went outside at this table that was there from the man previous, who'd owned the house previous to me. He obviously meant to do something and he never got around to doing it, he died. So I engraved my hand into it and I painted it yellow. And then I went and I got all these medals, I got about 10,000 medals, created the yellow. So when I was going around Ireland, I was carrying the yellow hand of friendship. So it was really much about that, you know, about being a friend. And the work that we would do too would be very much about being a friend. Like you mentioned James there earlier on, like James is a great fella and, you know, a great example of somebody that lives a great life and be a friend. You should have him on here sometime. And, you know, but what is a friend? I'd have said to him, what is a friend? I'd say, like, you know, a friend is somebody who's going to encourage you in your goals and your dreams and things like that there and keep you on track. But a friend's also going to tell you there's something on your back. They're also going to watch out for you. Do you know what I mean? And friendship is a step further. I don't know how to get into that, but anyway.
That was the maddest, like, it's just crazy to think that the things that you've been able to do and the things that your mind and your body has been able to help you achieve.
Yeah.
But I know I've said it already, but I'm going to keep bringing it back to this because I just know there's going to be so many people listening to this and be like, but how the fuck did he do all of that? Like, I can't do that. It's okay for him. You know, it's okay for him because he's doing this but it's how can we try and help the people listening to tap into that for themselves?
I think more than anything else, it's so important that human beings understand how they operate. Like, you know, we went to school and we were taught certain things at school. Definitely taught certain things at school are very, very important. But you weren't really, people weren't really taught how their mind works. You know, people weren't taught, like, people's greatest frustration is, so, like, you know, I said to people, you know, there's 3 planes of creation, you know what I mean? As in, like, so the spiritual plane is the first plane. And so if somebody is listening to this and they're like, what are you on about the spiritual plane, right? Think of your dream. Is your dream here? You know, your dream is not here? No, but you can think about it, you can feel it, you can see it, because it's in the spiritual realm, it's in the unseen. Do you know what I mean? And then people get really frustrated because what's in the unseen hasn't actually physically turned up yet. Do you know what I mean? But the physical plane is the 3rd plane of creation. So the spiritual is the first, everything's born in the spiritual. And the physical is the 3rd. Yeah, but what's the bit in between? The bit in between is the mind. Do you know what I mean? The bit in between is the mind is that bit is like, I went to school with a lot of priests and a lot of brothers, and like they used to say to us, you're a co-creator, right? We're like, what do you mean you're a co-creator? Say you're a co-creator, you create you're a co-creator. You create through the power of God, if you know what I mean. But you're not a God, but you're a co-creator. You create. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. And what they're really saying to us, they were saying is you've got free will and you have to agree with it in order for it to happen. Do you know what I mean? But a lot of people get an idea or they get a dream and be like, whoa, you're in the shower and you get a great idea in there, or you're driving your car and you get a great idea, or you're going for a walk. The funny thing is, when you're driving your car and you're going for a walk or run, it stimulates your frontal lobe. I don't know if you know that or not, but it stimulates your frontal lobe where you get your dreams and your ideas. But people can see the dream, they can see it, but the getting it from there into the physical reality can be frustrating, and that's why a lot of people give up. And that's mastery of the mind. That's understanding the mastery of the mind. Even emotions, even the word emotion means energy in motion. So once you change your understanding of so feelings is basically describing your emotions, but your emotion is energy in motion. So if that energy, E is the energy bit in motion, is still going to continue that way. So then it's looking and watching what way is that energy continue. So how I feel now, that's good. I could go down that road. But say I've checked in myself and I was like, oh, jeez, I wouldn't want to go down that road. I would need to have the ability in some way to be able to think something different or feel something different or change something different.
But the checking in part is an important part there. A lot of people don't check in.
100 million gazillion %. And it doesn't matter what somebody's method is. Like we have we have a thing called the Modern Miracle Makeover, which is a 7-step system, which a guy asked me to design because he wanted to be able to perform at his peak. Like a lot of the stuff I had done at the start was really helping people to perform at their very, very best, at their absolute peak. Because I'd be into that type of stuff. And it doesn't matter if it's that, or it doesn't matter if somebody's up in the morning and say, I get up in the morning and I say prayers, or they say I get up in the morning and I do this. Whatever routine for checking in with yourself is absolutely vital. Because otherwise, anything could be in you, if you know what I mean. Like, if you watch a scary movie or something, huh?
You're kind of running blind, like you don't really know what you're...
Because say you watch a scary movie, like, you know what I mean, you go up the stairs and you're afraid of something coming around the corner, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I was like, Gavin was a bit spooked coming in here on his own this morning.
You watch some of them gangster movies or something, or, some of them, one of them drug lord movies and everything, and the next year you're down the street or something and you see a car and you think it's a dodgy car, and next thing your mates... You know what I mean? Like, our minds are so fickle, like, in that regard. So, yeah, you definitely check in with yourself. The way I check in with myself is this, closing my mouth, because I conditioned myself to breathe through the nose. It's really hard to breathe through your nose, because you say, breathe through your nose, can't breathe through your nose, but close your mouth. And it just centers you, Mm-hmm. So I had to condition that, like a lot, like really conditioned that a lot, like the breathing. And plus, the way too, there's different techniques to say for, like, there's different main techniques or different tricks for settling you down or for getting you into gear or whatever it be. There is main tricks and things, but the closing your mouth and breathing in through your nose is not just a main trick. It's actually a physiological. Physiological. That's the one. And it's that one. And because when you do that, you access nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is a vasodilator, and it opens up the pathways. So say if you're restricted, take somebody that feels down, for example. Say somebody feels down, right? And so if you feel down, your head's down. You know what I mean? And your breathing's down. Your eyes are down. You're probably not really thinking good thoughts. But if your head's down, your blood's going to be kinked going to your brain a bit. And your oxygen's going to be kinked a little bit. So it's blocking the energy. Mm-hmm. But if you knew, okay, so somebody could be going around a lot of the time looking at the ground and not really understanding why they're not really feeling great. And that doesn't mean that something bad mightn't happen, because bad things happen all the time and at different times to people. But if that awareness around to look up, if you know what I mean, all of a sudden it would change. It's like Laird has a story, so he does, and he talks about this ship, and it's going all over the place, and then the young fella's up on the crow's nest at the very, very top, and next thing he's looking down, and he looks as if he's going to be sick, he looks as if he's going to fall, and the captain shouts up, "Look up, young man, look up!" He looks up and he's alright. Do you know what I mean?
So then we do the check-in, and okay, so you're checking in, and you're now have the choice of whether you follow one thought or if you decide to change it, right?
And I suppose you see the more clarity that a person has. So we would do the modern miracle makeover would be like, so say yes to life, yes to the opportunity, but you want to feel that because yes to life means, because most people waking up they go, oh, or the alarm clock bang, but saying yes activates you, you see, and then we'd move to counting your blessings. So you're counting your blessings. If you count your blessings, a lot of people talk about gratitude and you reduce the gratitude. I wasn't really used. I didn't even know the word gratitude, say, when I was growing up and I grew up in Katy. It would have been count your blessings or you're blessed or, do you know what I mean? You're lucky, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is. There have been some funny words used too. But when you count your blessings and all of a sudden you realise to yourself, which I could do something like, you know what I mean? You'd be it's harder not to feel as good. But when you get off, everybody still gets off, if you know what I mean. And that's when you need to be breathing through your nose. And then you asked about thought, you see. So then when you come to the third step, I think everybody every day should choose how they want to feel. You know what I mean? So like even you could come through a lot of hardship. Like say, I always thought about Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was, locked up. Nelson Mandela was a killer, like, you know what I mean? He did repent and he got changed, like, you know, but he was locked up for 25 years and he was so aggressive at the start. And then he went through forgiveness and then he came out and he became the president of South Africa. Do you know what I mean? Like, and like, so if he's in jail every day, it's like what was the difference? He understood after a while that he could choose how he was going to feel. Do you know what I mean? Like, so even no matter what he's going through, you can choose how you're going to feel. And today I'm choosing to be happy. Today I'm choosing to be this. Today I'm choosing to be certain. Today I'm choosing to be whatever it is. And so choosing how you're going to feel in advance really helps. And then the other thing that sort of, tailors the thought is then, I would say see yourself in your day. What's that mean? So like run through your day, see yourself in a good day. Like even before we done this, I said, seeing this going well, meeting new friends, having a bit of crack, meeting old friends again, having a good feel around it. So you're actually putting that in front of yourself. You're pre-deciding. You're already clearing the path. That doesn't mean that things can't take you off. But usually what happens to the majority of people is something bad happens to them over here. And they continue to have the memory of that bad thing all the time, every day. And they're not deciding anything else. It's even said with pain, like 90% of pain is meant to be psychological. So people that have the sore pains, they wake up in the morning and the first thing they wake up, they go, right, where's my pain?
Looking for it,
how do I feel this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it stays with them. I'd have been very much the opposite of that once I learned how the mind worked. When I didn't know. But once you know how the mind works and you understand how you can communicate to each other better, then you begin to understand. So I said you run through your day, your mind can work on pictures and language, but if you run through your day, all of a sudden you see yourself having a better day. If you start to see yourself having a better day, and you continue to do that, and you don't go, oh fucking, well, it was a great day, and then I got shite because it rained, like you're fucked if you've that type of attitude anyway, like, do you know what I mean?
Can I pause you on that?
Forgiveness there.
Can I pause you on that thought? Because,
Yeah.
again, I totally understand where you're coming from.
Aye.
But there's a lot of people, like I work with a lot of people who like that. They struggle to connect with their idea of their future selves because they have so much evidence of failing in the past. So
Day by day, that's what we're saying. Like, so that's where the modern miracle makeover says, so the third step is either you do it or you don't do it. The challenge is you see if you do it. It's like if I go out there and I lift one of them stones and I sat there and then I sat another one and then I sat another one and I sat another one. After a while, I'll have a wall. Do you know what I mean? Like, but if you don't do it, then that's kind of the thing is, and then a person will have a story is, oh, but I'm never the person that'll do it. I'm not the type of person that'll follow through. Yeah, but you're fucking saying that, like. Do you know what I mean? And like after a while,
you're validating it by saying it. Like.
Yeah, so after a while you have to understand this. And there's some people that'll tell me stories and they want to make things better. And there's some people that tell me a story because maybe they want the connection. And there's some people that tell me a story because they want to disprove me. And there's some people that there's all different reasons for stories. So you have to understand then what's the reason for the person's story, if you know what I mean. But say if somebody was like, I really do want to have a better life, then I would say to them, look, send me an email and I'll send you the Modern Miracle Makeover, or get some routine. Because if you do begin to, I said to people, the Modern Miracle Makeover is just like that. It's like built in the wall. And after that, if you do that every morning, you're going to have it. Because every morning I'm saying yes to life. Every morning I'm saying yes to the opportunities. and yes to the challenges. So if a better opportunity when they show up, every morning I'm counting my blessings, every day I'm counting my blessings actually, all the time. And on the third part, I'm choosing how I'm going to feel. So if I keep choosing how I'm going to feel, after a while I'm exercising my reasoning faculty. So after a while you get to understand that it did go better as I'm choosing how I feel. And then I'm starting to see it go better. But the reason for seeing it go better and choosing it is because you're more than likely going to act better then, And if you act better, you'll get a better result. Say you talk to people, hands up, who wants to get results, right? And everybody put their hands up. I said, hands up. And I put your two hands up, right? You get your two hands up because I said hands. You'd listen to the detail. And so somebody would go, I said, hands up, you want to get a better result. And somebody would go, and I go, hands up. And they'd be like, I said, put your fucking hand up for fuck's sake. Because you have to say, you have to step outside that energy that was before, if you know what I mean. And if the person does that even a little bit, so even for somebody it could be even strange, they may be thinking, it's weird choosing how you're going to feel.
It can feel a bit foreign, like.
Choosing how you're going, yeah. And you know what, it's foreign because you weren't taught the stuff.
No,
yeah. Like we teach this, we have a program called the Super You, and teaches this stuff, it teaches in the schools, it teaches the science of achievement, emotional mastery, and the art of fulfillment. And teach the same stuff that I do in the retreat in the schools. We the facilitators that would go in and do it. And it's because I sometimes have, if I can contribute that, at least then it's contributing to reality. It's not contributing like another layer of an unreality. If you know what I mean. Like society. What about society? Same society that feeds you loads of sugar. Same society that does all these different types of things. Same society that doesn't teach you the things that are probably necessary. Yeah. So there's a lot of great things with society. But, there's a lot of really, really, really important things that it probably didn't teach you. If you know what I mean. Like, so it is, and then there's movements, and then you get movements, and they always movements are good because they work on certain things in movements. But every movement comes to a certain point because you still have human psychology in it, if you know what I mean. So every movement comes to a certain point, but then you still have human psychology, and it's like Animal Farm. The Animal Farm, the George Orwell book, Animal Farm. Mm-hmm. So the pigs take over the farm. I mean, because the farmers aren't treating them properly, but then the pigs become the farmers, if you know what I mean.
They take over altogether.
They think all animals are equal except pigs are more equal.
When you were saying you see it in your dream first, and then the hardest part is to bring it into reality.
Well, I said that's the most challenging bit. But
is that fear that stops? Is it fear and just making a choice around fear, like rather than going with the fear or letting the fear cripple you? Is that the main factor why someone can't bring it into the reality? Do you think?
Definitely, 100%. It's definitely fear, and it's different levels of fear. But like fear is, to say, false evidence appearing real, or fear is the fear of the unknown. But yeah, it is fear. And
how do you navigate around fear? Like, is that taking that time to check in, free will, kind of? How am I going to go about this fear here?
I think for a lot of fear is knowledge. For a lot of fear is information and facts. And that's what I'm really saying is, like, that's why I sort of touched on the sugar thing, is because, like, you know what I mean? Like, if we're looking to get the best out of us as human beings or out of society, we wouldn't be clogging everything full of sugar, because that's gonna put it into the wrong state.
Yeah.
But 100% fear, and there's different levels of fear, because like greed's fear, like over greed is fear, if you know what I mean, because it's saying, I won't have this, and like a lot of the situations that you might have, that you think to yourself, why are these things out of balance, like so much is driven by fear, and a lot of the challenges and even diseases and things like that there is, but you go, well, it's not fear, I'm not afraid, but yeah, but it's greed. But greed is fear. Or people could say if you're in business, stress. But what's stress? It's fear. If you
is that the common denominator you see with most people that are stuck or lost? Fear.
Yeah. But it's understanding then. It's either you're coming from faith or you're coming from fear. So when you're coming from faith, you're going to be building things and you're going to be growing. You're coming from fear, you're going to shrink. But then how you get over that fear then can be different ways. Like, you know what I mean? It could, like an unreasonable fear, like say somebody wants to go out with a girl, but they're really afraid to ask her out. It's just to say something simple like that there.
Yeah.
If you do run that over in your mind a few times, it will be easier. It could be easier to ask her out. See yourself. But maybe you're not meant to be with her anyway. You know what I mean? I don't know. But do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But there's that fear, but then there's the other type of there's other fear, like say say the recession happened. Oh, jeez, friggin' property's gone. There's no point in investing in property. There's no point in investing. That's more knowledge, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's kind of sweeping fear. That's kind of like, they're all bad and we're all good. Yeah, you're deluded. It's like, do you know what I mean? That's like, whereas knowledge and information can free up a lot from fear, because part of fear is not knowing what to do.
What about the fear?
Which makes you freeze then,
And what about the fear, as in, like, say for instance, some guy he wasn't happy. He wanted to set up a business, but the fear is there. He has a family, he has kids, so he can't. He feels like he can't set up the business because
that's knowledge. That's knowledge, because it's like I teach business, and business is a structure. I also teach rejuvenation, and rejuvenation is a structure, and I teach relationship, and relationship is a structure. So it's like business is, the majority of people in business aren't using the right structure anyway. Like, because I teach business. So when I say hands up, like I'll ask, and even if somebody's listening to this, I'll say to people in the room, I'll say, right, you're all in business, yeah. Hands up in here knows how much profit they made last month, right? And very few hands go up. Why are you in business? To serve people and make money. I teach them to serve people. To serve people and make money. I said, how many? Right? So people don't know. Like, people don't know. Like even somebody listen, Profit First. I use a system called Profit First. There's a book written on it. It's a real smart guy, an American guy, and it's a great system for your finances. But business is 7 components. Do you know what I mean? Rejuvenation, that's about 7 components. So it has as well too. So there's a structure, and then the way I think, you see, is, and like I was lucky I was given this now, because I kept going, and then God gave me these things. But there's a structure, and then there's the energy that goes through the structure. Do you know what I mean? It's even like I'm building an extension at the minute, and the digger was there, and then Gary was in the digger, and then he had to go because his wife had put her back out, and he had to go, whatever it was. But then I can't drive digger as well as Gary, but I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to move the stones, right? Because the energy's there, right? And then the guy comes the next day and he takes the digger. I'm not finished moving the stones, so I'll use a wheelbarrow. Do you know what I mean? I'm still going that direction. Whereas you could be cursing yourself and saying, I'm not going fast enough. But as long as you're going in the way that you're...
It's not about the speed, it's about the direction, isn't it?
As long as you're going. I used to be, when I was younger, be in a rush, if you know what I mean.
But everyone around here, like society, is in a rush.
Correct, yeah.
We're all rushing and racing to be something or to...
I'm a Russian. You're not Russian, you're Irish. I don't know, they might be Russian now, but...
So look, we're coming to the end, and I want to say thank you so much for to the end. And like, there's so much you had
for another couple hours.
We haven't even touched the seal, or cracked the seal yet, but
definitely to be continued.
Definitely, but what would you like to finish on here? What is one thing that you would like to leave our listeners with today?
That's a good question. I said this to like a team like years ago. They were going into a final and they were a bit panicked, and I says, sure, don't worry. I says, if it gets to be a bit panicky, just breathe. Just remember to breathe. Just remember to breathe. And remember to breathe. You'll connect back with yourself. Take time away from too many stimulants. Give yourself space and breathe. And the answers will come. A blank piece of paper and a pen and a way on your own is a really, really good thing, for clarity. But when you get your clarity, then take the action. Then when you get your clarity, because you're here to make a difference.
I love that. That's a great way to end the podcast. Yeah. Thanks so much for
you.
coming again.
Thank you.
It's been an
Thank you.
excellent.
Thank you, Warren.
It's great.
Thank you
It's
very
been an
much.
excellent
Thank you, Kieran.
episode.
Thank you very
and
much. Thank you, Gavin. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Austin.
He's here.
Thank you very much. Austin. That's the crack.
Hiding in the corner
see you.
there.
Good to see you. Good to see you, bro. Happy days. What's us done then?
That's us done. We'll just wrap up
over.
here now. 1
Perfect
second.
timing.
Jesus, he's on edge here trying to jump out of this seat. Calm. Take a breath through your nose. If you like this episode, please let us know in the comments. And if you have any guests or anything like that you think that it would be interesting to get them on and have a conversation, please do let us know. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Catch you in the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Brilliant.
That was class.
Yeah,
Buddies
it's
are very good.